Before we get started with the podcast, let's just honor the land that we call home. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda, including the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Wesley First Nations. The city of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Mental Masala. My name is Shreya.
And I'm Agashdeep, and today we're going to be talking about academic burnout.
Ooh, a very applicable topic as exam season has just ended. So, for a little bit of context, I just started my first year of university, so I've kind of experienced a little bit of what that university burnout is like for the first time. And yeah, I don't know. I got through it, which was which was nice. I think that was what I was most nervous about, like starting university was like what the first exam season would be like, managing my time and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Do you like have anything about burnout that you've experienced lately?
I mean, I guess first year university for me wasn't as much of a burnout compared to my last year now.
I'm sure.
Because I'm like, God, when is it going to be over? And I'm like, but see, the thing is, during the holidays, I kind of know what to do with myself, especially because like I had holidays from work as well, and then had holidays from uni as well. I was just kind of sitting at home not knowing what to do with myself, so I was like, whoa, that is probably not a good thing. Like, work and uni cannot be defining my personality or my life kind of thing.
Exactly. You know what, that's the thing I did find in my first year. I was like spending not even a lot of time studying, like I wish I could say I was, but a lot of the time I kind of had like maybe like one or two like kind of larger things for the day, and then I would like make my whole day about those two activities, and I wouldn't let myself do anything else like fun, if that makes sense. Like, does that happen to you too, where like, I don't know, say for example you have like, I don't know, like a quiz at like 5 p.m. Like literally I feel like I can't do anything before that. Like I'm like, okay, I ate breakfast, lunch, like what am I supposed to do? And like, I don't know, studying I thought it's just like not helpful, and but I just don't let myself do anything. I don't go to the gym, nothing like that. I'm like, well,
no, it's like that.
So that's
for
something
everything,
I'm trying to find.
Yeah, not just like school stuff, but also just if I have plans in the night, I'm like, oh, like I can't do anything during the day because I don't know what it is. But.
Exactly, that's exactly how I feel. But yeah, I don't know. I think burnout for me in my like, I don't know if I necessarily experienced burnout like school-wise in my first year. I think it was more like there was, okay, adrenaline's the wrong word, but there was so much excitement about, okay, I'm starting my first semester, like I'm away from home. So all of that stuff. But I think this semester I will get a little bit more of like what that felt like.
Your first crash out maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Like, oh, there were definitely crash outs to be had. I won't lie. But I think this semester, like, I actually need to make sure I have those, I don't know, proper study habits and like kind of pace myself almost. I don't know, my mom always, like, if my mom listens to this, she'll be like, yes, fine. But like, she always says like to pace yourself, and I didn't really understand that because I was like, oh, like I should just like, when I have the motivation, I should do everything I possibly can and stuff. But I feel like that's what kind of, at least personally, that's what leads to burnout for me. So I think I need to do a better job of like just doing a little bit each day, because I know people say it, like I'm sure as a psych student you've heard like, what is it, like, I don't know, like interleaving your learning or whatever. Like
I could not.
I don't like, I don't know, like I know people say it's so important and it's better for learning and stuff, but I need to put that into practice because
time management. Again, from first year, everyone says manage your time wisely, but I'm like a fourth year student and I still don't know how to manage my time, so that really says something. So I guess it's just something you learn along the way. I hope I learn it soon.
Absolutely.
But during first year, like, managing my time, it was so much easier than it is now. And I think part of that is burnout, because I was insanely motivated during first year, and I think, like you said,
that's how I feel a little bit too.
Adrenaline rush, but like just like, oh, everything's new, I'm so curious to learn kind of deal. But now I feel like I'm just stuck in this routine. And there's like, and like, I feel like that's just the way education is. I feel like I'm not really learning anything useful, you know?
Yeah, okay, I'm glad we have like our different perspectives about it, because like, yeah, I feel like I'm just like fresh meat and like And like university's like slowly gonna take a toll on me.
Yeah.
And like I know you want to do like psych and stuff like that, or something related to that in the future. Like I'm hopefully gonna do something in like healthcare or medicine.
Yeah.
And like this is just the beginning, you know what I mean, like for us. So I feel like us learning like the importance of like time management and like managing burnout especially, like we have to do it. Like it's now or never.
Exactly, because this is going to go on for another 10 years at this point.
Oh god. It's just the beginning, but it's fine. But I guess like, so Mental Masala, we know our podcast is like sort of about South Asians specifically, kind of the mental health challenges we face as like a cultural group and stuff. Do you think like burnout has, as like a South Asian person, do you think you experience burnout a little differently maybe than other groups would?
I mean, I would say so, just because of the whole cultural aspect to it. And I mean, I'm not a first generation immigrant myself, but my parents were.
Yeah.
And so they kind of had this mindset where it was like, you know, they moved here to give me and my brother a better life. So it's kind of just like living up to those expectations. I mean, it's not like my parents like pressurized me or anything, but it's like just like this unset expectation. I feel like that is there, that we do need to succeed and stuff.
Of course.
Like I mean, I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, I want to do a gap year to kind of like figure out what I want to do for my master's and where I want to do it. And she was like, oh, you should probably not take a gap year kind of deal, because like you're gonna get lazy and, you know. And so like I feel like there's always this kind of like drive to keep on going, keep on doing something, and that there's like, we're not really told to be like taking a break or anything for ourselves, just to figure things out. We're just constantly told to keep like progressing towards our goal.
I don't know, that's so relatable. I don't know, because like again, my parents haven't pressured me at all. They're like, even with like me wanting to pursue a career in healthcare, they're like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, girl, like it's literally like 15 years of your life down the drain. And I'm like, no, like I still want to do it. But I think I do understand what you mean about like kind of always having to be like productive and stuff like that. And I think there is like a lot of good in that, because I don't know, like it stops, even like during like my winter break and stuff like that, it stopped me from like kind of getting in a rut and like feeling lazy or whatever. But at the same time, I think there's like a really good balance that needs to be found. Otherwise, I don't know, I think it's just like a common thing with like South Asian parents or something. But I mean, like I can't really blame them, because I'm sure when I'm older and if I have kids, I'll like probably do the same. Hopefully like not as much, but I don't know, I think maybe it's just a common thing in the South Asian community for sure.
And the thing is like about parenting as well, it's so they kind of want us to, you know, take the best decisions around life, and so they guide us toward those decisions. But the thing is, we probably won't follow those decisions because we're like, oh, our parents are saying that, I'm not going to do it kind of deal. So I feel like it's just something we kind of need to learn along the way. And I know it's hard for a parent to kind of accept that. But I feel like the kids and the parents should kind of work towards those goals together.
I think that's so valid. That's like something I've started to do with my parents as well. Like I've kind of made them a part of my like process about like, I don't know, even if it's like venting or like I'm just like trying to be more comfortable about it. Just because I don't know, I think in the long run especially, it like kind of helps them understand like, okay, why does like my kid feel this way and stuff, like okay, I can kind of see like how they're burnt out, they're spending like hours and hours studying every day, you know what I mean? So I think like that communication with parents is kind of important, which is difficult though in the South Asian community especially, because I feel like there's like a little bit of a barrier sometimes. Like I'm lucky that with my family, like it's not as much, but I don't know, like in your experience, have you, or like even with your friends and stuff, like I feel like there's just not that like closeness that maybe South Asian people have with their parents as opposed to like other groups. I don't know.
I feel like this closest for me personally, at least, it has kind of increased over the years. As my grandparents moved out and we just kind of got closer, and you know, we kind of got to learn about each other, and like again, it is a two-way street for that communication to occur. So I like being able to vent to my mom, and like she kind of vents to me about stuff too. So again, it's a two-way street. And so, but with my friends as well, I have like seen for some of them that it is hard for them to have conversations with the parents. And again, I don't think that's anyone's fault, to be honest. I feel like it's just a part of the culture and how we were raised. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess like for a little, should we give a little definition about what burnout is? I guess. Okay, so let's see. So an official, I guess, definition that we have for burnout is that feeling of deep exhaustion where even rest doesn't feel like it's enough. Very relatable experience, I think, for a lot of us. It's feeling mentally drained, emotionally numb, and sometimes completely disconnected from things you used to care about. So, for example, it can look like brain fog, constant irritability, losing motivation, or feeling guilty for taking a break. That is very relatable. And a big thing that we kind of think is important to emphasize is that burnout is not laziness. I think burnout can be confused with laziness quite a bit, especially, I think not even in the South Asian community. I feel like for any parent, like hearing their kids say, I'm burnt out, it's, I don't know, in my house, we joke, like, that we all have lazy-itis sometimes, like, like diagnose ourselves. But yeah, burnout is definitely not laziness. It's pretty different. And it's your mind and body telling you that you've been pushed for too long without enough support or without enough breaks. Yeah, so I don't know, with that kind of definition in mind, I think, I don't know, like, personally at least, I've acknowledged that sometimes I've been burnt out, but I have trouble sometimes, like, finding a solution almost when I am burnt out. Like, do you have any strategies that you use to kind of help you with burnout?
I mean, I don't think my strategies are that effective. Because, like, whenever I get stressed out, I nap a lot. So I feel like, and then, again, I have that mindset where, like, I wasn't productive kind of deal. And, again, I feel like that is a symptom of burnout. Because I'm like, I was so lazy today kind of deal, which, again, it's not the same thing. But whenever I'm, like, stressed out and I'm like, oh, I wasn't productive today, I just end up taking a nap, and it kind of makes me feel better about myself. For sure. But again, I feel like there are effective strategies out there. Just like, first of all, recognizing that you have burnout, I feel like is one of the first steps. And then I don't know about any other strategies. Are there any other strategies that you think, like,
so I guess, like I said, like, I'm still kind of trying to navigate it, but I've found, especially, like, I have some friends in university who have, I don't know if they're, like, necessarily great at managing burnout, but they're a lot better than me. So I've tried to kind of, like, adopt the strategies that they have. And, like, oftentimes they kind of, how do I describe it? Like, they almost, like, indulge in, like, those fun activities, like, guilt-free. So that, like, they allocate, like, a certain, even if it's, like, I don't know, like, 5 hours, which seems like a ton of time to, like, just basically, like, do nothing. Or, like, hang out with friends, things like that. They allocate that time so that, like, they know, and they do it guilt-free, so that, like, they actually feel motivated to kind of do their work later on, or, like, they'll get their work done, I don't know, they'll, like, cram all their work done, cram all their work at once. I don't know if this is, like, a good strategy necessarily, but they'll cram it all in, like, maybe a day or two, so they can, like, really, really enjoy the weekend and do everything guilt-free almost, and I've found that, like, that kind of helps them stay balanced. So that's kind of what I had done in, like, my first semester a little bit, like, after seeing them do it, where, like, I've tried to just kind of separate, like, fun from work, even though they do, like, overlap a little bit. I think that kind of helps me so that, like, I don't have to feel worried about being unproductive almost. But yeah, I don't know. It's still navigating.
I guess something I really struggle with is just completing work way before the deadline. I procrastinate a lot. And, like, when I know there's a deadline and I, like, have a fun activity plan for myself, I do have that sense of guilt. I'm like, I could be doing work right now, right?
Exactly.
Even like you said, it's just 5 hours of time, which does seem like a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it really isn't. Like, you've got a month.
And then I spend like an hour a day doing, or not even an hour, like, I don't even want to say the number. There's a lot of time doom scrolling. I don't even want to, like, admit it. But so, like, in the back of my head, I do know, like, I do have time for these, like, social, like, interactions. And I think that's, like, as much as I think I'm, like, an introvert and stuff, I think, like, social interaction is super important and everything like that, especially, like, in university, because I am away from home, so I'm not near my family either. So, like, if I'm not interacting with my friends, like, I'm not interacting with anyone. So I think that's something I have to learn. Like,
Would you say your experience of going abroad or going to live on your own combined with your first year of university, would you say that kind of increased your chances of burnout?
I think, I don't know, maybe it's kind of the opposite right now. Just because it all felt so new. So I felt like I didn't have enough time to kind of think about, like, maybe if I was, like, feeling a little down, like, things like that. Like, I felt like there was just, like, so much information at once. But I think next semester and, like, maybe next year, like, that's when I was going to start to really feel it, because I'll be like, shoot, like, I'm doing the same thing every day. Like, so, like, I mean, definitely, like, before winter break, I was like, I need, like, get me out of here. Like, I felt like I was in a prison. I was like, I need to be home right now. But so I'm like, okay, there's definitely risk for burnout. So that's why I think it's so important for me to, like, definitely, like, allocate that time for social interactions, having fun. Otherwise it'll be a miserable 4 years, and I'm not I do not want to do that at all.
And so I guess it seems like burnout, it almost seems to come up when you're stuck in this routine.
That's what I've found personally. Like, it's not even necessarily, like, during exam season, which is very weird. Like, obviously I was, like, tired from studying and stuff, but it was more like having to do the same thing every day. That kind of led to burnout. I don't know if that's, like, necessarily, like, what most people experience, because sometimes a routine is very comforting, but I think for me sometimes, like, when it's a routine without like breaks and stuff or without like exciting things to do as well, then I'm like, oh shoot, like I literally want to I just want to cry. Like, yeah, I don't know, like, do you find it's like kind of similar, different?
I would say so, because I started experiencing a lot of burnout my third year.
Okay.
And then first semester I kind of like isolated myself from everyone. And then I was like, okay, I can't really be going on with this. And then one day I spontaneously decided to apply for a study abroad program, and then I went to Denmark, and then I did not experience burnout there whatsoever. I mean, it's also because the education system there was way different. I only had like one exam to do at the end of the year, no assignments or anything, so that was really nice. But like, again, just having like that different routine where, you know, there's a lot of unpredictability, and just like going abroad and just like going to a new place as well, and then experiencing those new things, and then having all that new information available, I also was more motivated to kind of go outside and hang out with friends and stuff, compared to here where I was kind of just stuck in the same routine. And I was like, okay, I'm not motivated to do anything. I don't even want to go out with my friends, kind of deal. So I guess
that makes sense.
It's very important to come out of that routine in that sense, and that staying in your comfort zone is probably what leads to burnout.
As much as I like hate to admit it, that's so true. That's so true. And I think also, like, I guess it's like we're recording this on what, like the 2nd of January. It's New Year's resolutions and stuff. But one of my like one of my resolutions is kind of to almost have more hobbies. If that makes sense, because like I feel like I need to channel my energy sometimes when I do have free time. Not necessarily to be productive, but I need to channel into things like I'm actually like activities that I enjoy. Like just, I don't know, even if it's like hanging out with my friends and watching like a movie or something like that, just like doing things to like make sure I am having social interaction and like doing activities I enjoy. Because I don't know, like I used to crochet quite a bit. I don't do that anymore. Like, I swear the only hobby I think I have is like maybe going to the gym, but I don't even like do that often enough. So I'm like, okay, I have enough time.
It's been a month.
No, literally no. And I'm like, okay, I have enough time to be like pursuing my hobbies and actually like enjoying myself. Like, why am I not doing it? So I don't know. Maybe it's time to delete social media.
Maybe, because the bed rotting is so real.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, okay. So yeah, like we know that hobbies and stuff and like having an identity outside of university and work are really important. And so I guess when we think about work as well, I don't know, like I feel like choosing a career also leads to burnout for like people in university, and especially in the South Asian community. I don't know, I think there's a lot of room for comparison and stuff, especially, I don't know, if you're South Asian and you're listening, even like any other culture group, to be honest, like I'm sure you've experienced like, oh, comparison to like cousins and family members and like your other South Asian friends, you know,
or like her daughter's a doctor, what are you doing?
What are you gonna do with your and I think that can also contribute to quite a bit of burnout, just because, I don't know, I think like a lot of our parents are first generation immigrants, and that comes with very like high expectations, just because I guess like my parents, like technically first generation immigrants, but I guess I would consider, like, because my mom like moved to the US when she was like super young, so she felt like she was pretty integrated into kind of the West and stuff, but I think she faced quite a bit of pressure academically, just because her parents had to work like physically demanding jobs, so they were like, okay, academics, like that's your kind of ticket into like a better life almost, and like a job where you're not necessarily like forced to kind of work on your hands and like work with your hands, and like work on your feet all day and stuff. So that was quite a bit of pressure for her, just because there wasn't really any other option. And I don't know if it was like kind of the same for your parents, but like
I feel like there like going off of that, I feel like there is a lot of taboo around jobs that involve physical labor, like
the trades. Like I can't imagine like like a brown parent like hearing about their kid going to the trades. I feel like that's like that's like a bad omen or something.
It's definitely like their worst nightmare.
Yeah,
sure,
absolutely.
Which is kind of crazy, because if it's all about making money, I mean, trades is definitely where it's at.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's a great career, honestly. And I've seen so many, like, I have friends who are considering it. And I know there's so many successful, especially we're recording this in Calgary. Like, Calgary is full of successful people in trades. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's, like, that's funny to think about how, I guess that kind of goes to show how important academics are in the South Asian community, that, like, at a certain point, even over, like, a stable career or, like, money, things like that, like it's almost like a sense of prestige to have like your kid invested in their academics and like have all these achievements academically, and not necessarily like career wise, and like doing something that they might like truly enjoy. You know what I mean? I guess that's like, I don't know, you and your gap year, like I understand exactly why you would do it, but I see like the I don't know, like the brown parents' perspective about like, oh wait, what? Like,
no,
like
because I wanted to take a gap year after high school as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, you
I was
weren't
like,
able to, though?
because I was like, I don't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know I wanted to do psychology at the time, and I just chose psychology because I was like, oh, I took a psychology course in high school, and that'd be nice. And thankfully, it worked out. You know? I mean, now that I look back at it, I am kind of glad I didn't take the gap year because I wouldn't have known what to do regardless. Like, if I didn't go to university, then I wouldn't have gone to classes. I wouldn't have known what the courses looked like, kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I didn't take a gap year then. But now that I'm a bit older and I have that university experience, I think it's best that I do take the gap year.
Yeah, 100%.
Just so that I can do more research. And I feel like this phase of my life is going to be a turning point.
Yeah.
Because, like, I feel like it's going to decide where, and, like... Yeah, where I'm gonna do what I want to do.
Yeah,
do.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like honestly, like taking the gap year though, like imagine like the burnout you would feel if you didn't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know, I can't imagine like just jumping right. Like that's why even like a career in, I don't know, like any post-grad program and stuff, I wonder like how, I don't know, people in those situations, how they cope with like feeling burnt out and stuff. And like, I'm sure they have like the strategies that they kind of built over time and whatnot. But yeah, I don't know. Interesting stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like most of them and most of the post-grad students have a lot of ambition, and I feel like that plays a role as well. If you do have a lot of ambition and you know what you want to do and you have those goals set, then I feel like that also reduces the burnout that they experience.
Yeah, and I also think just like having experience itself helps so much with burnout, like managing burnout.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure like you have so many more skills, even if you don't realize it. I'm sure you have so many more skills than I have right now about like managing burnout and stuff like that. And I guess it just comes with time. So I don't know. We'll update you guys after after my 4th year. I'll let you guys know if I acquired any new knowledge. Hopefully.
Yeah. So when grades also kind of become your identity, that also becomes a very dangerous thing to experience as well, because you start seeking the academic validation and you start chasing these good grades, and then when you get those good grades, you're like looking forward to the next good grade you're gonna get. You never kind of appreciate the good grade you just got. You're like, okay, I've got to get a good GPA now. I've got to make sure I keep my grades up so I can get into my grad program, or, you know, just like, so like when these grades start becoming your identity, it kind of does lead to burnout, because you're constantly thinking about school and how you're going to achieve these good grades. And I don't know, I mean, do you experience that? Just like,
I don't know.
Do you have the need for academic validation?
I think, you know what? I think in high school, actually, I experienced it a little bit worse, just because now in uni, like, I have, like, letter grades and stuff. So, not that it's making me lazy or anything. Well, we'll see. Maybe I am becoming a little lazy. But it's almost like, it's kind of nice, because I'm like, okay, once I kind of get to this level, like, I'm good. I can just, like, sit back, relax, if that makes sense. And there's not, like, this always kind of, like, this voice in the back of your head that's like, oh, like, I could have done better. Like this, like, 1% is, like, what's kind of, like, setting me back, blah, 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 blah. But then I think there's also a little bit of danger as well, because it puts, like, I'm still, like, putting a really great emphasis of, like, my identity on my grades, even if I am, like, claiming that, oh, I can, like, sit back and, like, kind of put my mind at ease. Like, even I remember after writing my exams, like, I could not stop, like, replaying all of them. I was like, oh my god, like I'm just thinking about all the things I could have done wrong. Like, and I felt like when I first started my break, I felt like I couldn't even enjoy it. It was like, oh my god, like, I don't even know how to, like, get these finals, like, off my mind and stuff. So I think, like, hopefully next semester I do kind of get used to, like, just kind of, like, getting something done academically and then just, like, moving it out of my mind. I think that's really important. Otherwise I am definitely at risk of, like, grades and, like, school defining me and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I definitely, like, I think in uni I have gotten better about it, which is surprising, I guess. Even, for example, like, some of the people I know who are in, like, postgraduate programs and stuff, it's very interesting to see how, like, they've made that transition as well. How, like, they don't really care about, like, grades necessarily, even if things are, like, pass, fail, like, I pass, like, whatever. But, like, they do still really care about, like, their learning, and it's almost, I feel like their learning is almost rooted in, like, passion at that point, and it's not necessarily about, like, achieving a certain grade to get to a certain place. They're like, okay, this is just something I'm really interested in, so that's why I want to, like, dedicate a lot of time in it, and that's why I want to do well in it. And, like, I don't know, like, there's certain subjects I'm like, oh, like, I don't know, I feel like I'm just, like, a bio kid. I want to do really well in this course. But for the most part, like,
you're
it's
not
just
passionate about it.
For the most part, I'm just like, hey, let me just get this grade, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it's, like, really, I don't know, it's very admirable, I think, like, that those people, like, they can be in a post-grad program that is, like, super stressful and stuff, but they're still able to kind of, like, make that learning about, like, passion. I think, you know, like, even, like, my parents, like, they've continued, like, their education in, like, different areas and stuff, and I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, what's the point? Like, why put yourself through more work? But then I do see that it's, like, actually rooted in the desire to, like, keep learning and stuff like that. So their risk, I think, for burnout academically, like, it just doesn't really exist because it's all rooted in kind of, like their genuine interest. But maybe it's because they have, like, worked in their actual careers, right? So almost like academics is like a way to escape that, if that makes sense. I don't know, like, what are your thoughts?
No, because I definitely agree with that, because during my study abroad experience I did meet people that were so interested in their thesis, and they talked about it all the time, and I was genuinely interested to learn about it as well. But here I'm just like, I don't want to learn anything. I'm not motivated to learn anything in my courses. But at that point, I feel like it's just a byproduct of our education system where we're constantly just working towards these grades and, you know, learning these things in a certain way, that we're not actually pushed to learn these things that we're actually passionate about and have an interest in. And if we did, because I think there in Denmark they had an honors program, or for psych at least, they had to do a thesis no matter what. But here that isn't the case. You have a choice to do a thesis or not. And I feel like doing that thesis and having that as a part of their system, it kind of increased, you know, the interest that the students had in the psychology program itself. Whereas here, I feel like people just do it just because it's kind of like, you know,
like, it just like makes them kind of like better
degree that people can use as like a stepping stone.
No, that makes sense. That's interesting. Like, I think, and not to say that it's like the fault of like teachers and professors and stuff like that, but I think like a big part of it is almost the way that we kind of approach our learning too. Like, I guess it's like both, it's like two-sided, if that makes sense. I don't know, because I even find myself like, I'm like, oh shoot, like I could like be more engaged in my learning. Like, am I on my phone sometimes? Yes. Like, and like I think there's a lot to be said about like kind of like, for example, like my program is kind of it's like blended. So there's a lot of like asynchronous work, and then in class there's a lot of like kind of class discussions. And at first I was like, oh my god, like really, like it's class discussions, like what am I actually going to be absorbing and learning from this? But I have found that they are like, once you like,
they're way more helpful.
Like once you embrace like the fact that like, okay, it is a little bit awkward at first, like I think there is like you can learn from it, and it does kind of like, I don't know, develop your learning. So that's like something I've been trying to like kind of embrace a little bit. And it motivates
you to go to your classes as well, because first year I was skipping so many classes, but I mean, these up-year courses, they kind of do have, you know, mandatory attendance sometimes. And then when you do have to do those class discussions, you know, group work as well, you're kind of obligated to come to class. So I guess having that blended learning aspect is very important, and kind of something we should probably shift towards.
For sure. And I think also like there's kind of this narrative about like studying and stuff where it has to like look a certain way, where you're like, okay, like obviously like when you like sit down, like you have like your, I don't know, noise canceling headphones on or whatever, like like that's what I imagine when someone's studying. And obviously like, there are times where you do have to like lock in, and that is what studying looks like. But I think to like avoid, like coming back to that topic of burnout, I think to avoid burnout you can also kind of integrate like studying and review and like engaging with your content in different ways. So that's why I am quite grateful for like the format of my program, at least, just because it is like another way to like kind of expose yourself to that like that information without feeling like you're, I don't know, like you're like wearing yourself away, like not doing anything, you know what I mean? So at least that's what I found is kind of helpful. Like studying with friends, obviously that's definitely not my first means of studying. Like like it's not that helpful like when I have to cram that content in. But I think like, I don't know, like maybe even like a coffee chat, things like that, like, or like you're talking about the topic that you're interested in as you're like going on a walk with your friends. I think smaller things like that can really help, because they like kind of help add like onto your learning, or like, I don't know, it's like compounded like revision almost without you even realizing it, which I think is really helpful. Because cramming, I think in my opinion, is what feels like contributes to burnout the most for me.
Oh, definitely. And just even having like a change in scenery as well. I've seen people do like engage in cafe hopping and just go to different cafes
that's
after
a very
like an
popular
hour.
Thing. I don't know, like I think it's like a fun way to like try to like make it seem like,
especially because I love
we're bar hopping, cafe hopping, things like that. I was actually gonna do that with my friends when I go back to uni. But it's like just little things to make like studying a little bit more fun. I don't know, like I was very much of the mindset that like even like with other things, I'm kind of a like it's all or nothing type beat. which I don't know if that's like very healthy, to be quite honest, because there is like a lot of room to enjoy things in the grayer area. Like, I don't know, like for example, like I don't know, like cafe hopping, or like studying with your friends, or like even listening to a podcast about like the topic you're learning. That's not necessarily like this like the best form of studying, but it's not like you have to, it's either you don't study or you like you're locking yourself away like you're in prison, you know what I mean? So I think that's something I'm trying to learn as well, to help avoid a little bit of that burnout.
Just figuring out what works for you best as well, because I feel like you experience burnout when you're doing things that don't work for you. So just figuring out study tactics, you know, being being wise of your time as well, is really important to kind of avoid experiencing burnout as well.
Yeah, and I've even noticed in university, like I'm like, okay, you know what, I've studied for a couple hours, I feel good, and then I hear someone who's like, oh, I spent like all day studying. I'm like, oh shit, like now I have to like study all day and stuff, which like I don't think is necessary. Like now, okay, I say this, but in uni I'm sure I'm still gonna succumb to the pressure or whatever. But I think like everyone has different time management, everyone has different strategies. So I think like comparing yourself constantly to the way other people are preparing for exams, or like even their extracurriculars and stuff, it's helpful sometimes, but I found that it's also like a little unnecessary sometimes, personally, you know what I mean?
So funny you say that, because we were just talking about comparisons within the South Asian community.
Oh my
and
gosh,
I feel like you know, comparisons within the South Asian community, they are like definitely very prominent, but then we start engaging in comparisons ourselves, so I feel like that's not something we can entirely blame on the culture. You know?
Absolutely that's so interesting, because like and I'm like, oh, like why are you comparing me to like my cousin whatever at the same time, like you're comparing yourself, you're constantly comparing yourself
to your peers,
to like I don't know, people like you admire and stuff. Like I think I know, we try to make it toxic
social media
sometimes.
As well is so toxic for that.
Oh my god, even like studying social media, I'm like, no way, I'm feeling like
study with me videos. Like they work for me sometimes, but sometimes I'm like, you're being so productive, and
I'm like, oh shoot, like I feel guilty. But so I don't know, I think there's a fine balance to strike for sure. And I guess related to the topic of burnout, I think we thought imposter syndrome was also very applicable, just because, especially in the context of university, like everyone around you was kind of like, I think, very academically ambitious as well. So I don't know, like I remember when I first started university, like I'm in a program where a lot of the kids around me like want to do the same career as me and stuff, and they all like have had like super high grades in high school and stuff like that, billion extracurriculars. And like I've never felt imposter syndrome like that like first weekend. I was like, holy, like I'm not meant to be here. I felt like I don't know, because my application, like I guess in Canada, like as you know, like there are few schools that require you to do like supplementary apps and stuff, but my program was one of them. And I was like, oh shoot, like there was definitely a misclick here, like I'm not meant to be here. Like they definitely pressed like this girl is like, they admitted me when I was not supposed to be admitted, but like I don't know, and obviously that's like not true, but it felt so real in the moment. I was like, wow, like everyone around me, it feels like copy and paste, but I'm not better than anyone around me, you know? And I think as like a South Asian person, even other people as well, I think like, but culturally I think we're used to like having to be like being almost humble, like like, but also a part of it is like almost being the best of like a certain group of people, if that makes sense. Like it's just like that expectation, like, oh, like of course you have like the higher grades and stuff, oh, like of course you're doing more. I don't know, maybe that's like, especially when I lived in the US, that was like very normalized. In Canada, not so much. But like that was, I don't know, it was a very interesting experience for sure.
So would you say there was a very big cultural difference between the US and Canada?
I don't know, in my like lived obviously this isn't like representative of everyone, but in my experience I think like in the US there is a bit more like of that like rigor in the South Asian community and stuff, like career wise and like academics, and like especially because universities like applying to Ivies and everything like that. There's like a lot more pressure for South Asian kids there. But I think like, people in Canada like still experience that as well. But I don't know, did you ever experience imposter syndrome yourself?
I mean, I don't think so. Not that I can really remember, because my whole life I've kind of been around South Asians, like elementary, middle school, and then elementary, middle school, everyone was basically a South Asian, so you know I was kind of around my like people like me, so I kind of didn't compare myself to them in that sense. But and then high school it got a little more diverse. I did feel a bit of imposter syndrome there, I think, because it was a very academic focused school, and they kind of did, you know, kind of place a lot of importance on your grades and stuff as well. So I kind of did have that thing where I started comparing myself to other people and like other grades as well, because I feel like in high school, because it's such a concentrated class where there's a very small number of people in your class, and then you start talking about your tests and stuff after class, and you're like, oh, I messed up kind of deal. And then I got to university in first year. Like that kind of discipline, it kind of continued into first year, but then after that I kind of stopped caring about my grades, which probably isn't a good thing. Like I'm like not motivated to kind of achieve high. I mean, it would be nice to have a high grade kind of deal, but it's not like it kind of defines myself kind of deal. So I don't really see myself comparing myself to other people in a sense for me to have imposter syndrome.
That makes sense. Like I think in uni I compare myself almost like to people like outside of academics, if that makes sense. I'm like, oh, like this person's like so much more motivated than me, or they're always being more productive than me. I think it's so funny because like now, like comparing myself through grades, it's almost like the least of my concerns, if that makes sense. I'm like, oh shoot, like now I feel like I'm comparing myself. I have imposter syndrome for like who these people, like it's like other aspects of their life almost, where I'm like, oh, like everyone in my program kind of has like a similar mindset about like a career that they want to do in the future. They have like similar motivations and stuff. And like I like, as much as I think I am kind of an imposter amongst the group or whatever, like I know I have like that's like similar motivations and similar values and characteristics and stuff. But I think that like kind of seeing everyone in like this university environment, there's like nothing that like kind of distracts me from it now, because I'm like, it's like that's my home. So I'm like constantly surrounded by those people. So that's why I think the imposter syndrome was kind of like a little bit more amplified, even though it's not academically so much. The other stuff it feels like a lot more. But I don't know.
It's also kind of just about where you see yourself in the future. And I feel like that motivation now, instead of being your grades, it's just your future goals.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I guess that's why it isn't so academically centered, and it's more so maybe people in the field or like. Yeah,
absolutely. That's such an interesting shift, like from high school to university. I'm like, wow. Actually my life. That I know this is like, I don't know if anyone's like listening to this, like I know that's like so obvious, but I swear it's such an interesting transition to have things in my life that I care about aside from like getting into a university that I want, if that makes sense. I'm like, whoa, like this is like my career and this is like my personal life, love life, whatever it is, like what the hell, like this is it's just like a very interesting transition to be in.
The thing about high school is it's so like constricted, and your networking circle isn't that huge either. So just having like that constricted worldview, you're like, okay, this is the only thing that matters kind of deal. But then you exit high school and you're like, okay, in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't even matter.
Exactly. And I'm like, whoa, I have so many other things that I like actually really care about, and so many other people I really care about. And it's just like, wow. It's I don't know, maybe it takes away some of that pressure as well, but at the same time I find it harder to balance everything. I'm like, wow, I feel like I have so many things I'm trying to account for, and like so many values I have now. So I don't know, it's interesting.
Learn along the way.
That's what I'm gonna learn in the 4 years.
All right, so we kind of talked about our own experiences with imposter syndrome, and now we're kind of going to talk about how South Asian individuals experience this imposter syndrome. So there was a study done in the UK, and it's regarding South Asians pursuing higher studies. And then in this study, they found these 3 themes centered around imposter syndrome and how these South Asian individuals experience it. So the first theme, I kind of talked about strength and allyship, and how having people similar to you, it kind of reduces the effects of not feeling like you belong. And then there's this psychological notion called the spotlight effect, where you kind of exaggerate your own experiences. And when people do that, it kind of makes them feel like they don't belong in the group, because they feel like their experiences are not as valid as opposed to others. And then perceived prejudice, it kind of refers to feeling like an outsider, even though there was no actual act of prejudice done, just because, again, it kind of combines with the spotlight effect as well there to kind of increase your feelings of not belonging to the group. And then there's this second theme about perfectionism. And in the South Asian community, there's a lot of family pressures and academic reputation as well, which kind of refers to, South Asian parents kind of wanting you to pursue medicine, law, or engineering. And also financial expectations. Again, South Asian parents, they kind of want you to have a successful career and, you know, have a high earning career as well. So that kind of, all of those kind of combine to and they kind of combine, and then they contribute to these notions of perfectionism. And then the final theme, it was regarding academic humility. Again, this kind of stems from South Asian culture and how we're kind of taught to be humble. And then from this, there were other themes that emerged as well, and it kind of talked about how we kind of underestimate our own abilities, we downplay our own achievements, and how we compare ourselves to peers. And then all of these themes, they combine to kind of, all of these themes, they contribute to the imposter syndrome. And I guess this all just gives like a scientific explanation for the imposter syndrome and how we experience it, and perhaps it kind of gives some background to our own experiences as well, and perhaps explains it to some degree as well.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, at least my takeaways from that as well, it kind of shows me ways that I might be able to kind of address my sense of, like, imposter syndrome a little bit better as well.
Yeah.
Like, so, I don't know, especially, you know what, I found that in university, even though I am actually surrounded, I think I'm surrounded by, like, more South Asians than I was in high school and stuff.
Okay.
But I do feel like sometimes I'm isolated in, like, maybe my habits and things like that from them, or, like, the activities I do and things like that. So, like, I don't know, my takeaway is, like, I don't know, kind of engaging in the activities that other people might, or even exploring them, not necessarily feeling the pressure to, like, kind of adopt everything that they do, but maybe seeing, like, parts about, I don't know, like, what their routine might be like, you know, joining some clubs related to kind of the community I'm surrounded with. I think that's helpful. Like, I know I've tried to join, like, some, I don't know, like, clubs related to my university and whatever, but, like, I think it goes to show that even, like, the small things can really help. Yeah, so I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, I feel like the first step is always just acknowledging whether you have an issue or not. And then if you're able to understand, you know, things like the imposter syndrome, or even just what burnout actually is, then I feel like you're already getting somewhere, you're already progressing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so also I know we've talked quite a bit about, like, burnout in general and, like, our experiences with imposter syndrome as well, but there is some hope as well. So we wanted to talk a little bit about, like, breaking the cycle of burnout. And I think a big part of this is being able to set boundaries and having some compassion for yourself. So I don't know, do you have any thoughts about that? Like, do you have any personal experiences with that?
I mean, again, I guess for myself, it would just be not being guilty when I plan those fun activities for myself.
Absolutely.
I feel like it's a long journey, but again, it's something I'm probably going to have to learn sometime soon, because if I don't, you know, be compassionate with myself, I'm probably going to get more burnt out along the way. So. For
sure. I don't know. At least for me, you know, I've heard, like, I don't know, I think other generations sometimes they're, like, overly critical of Gen Z about how, like, have you heard about them, like, I don't know, there's, like, this stereotype that Gen Z, like, sets boundaries in the workplace quite a bit, and they're like, okay, it's like, it's 4 p.m. I'm logging off. I'm not answering any emails, which, like, okay, like, I understand that's probably true for a lot of people, but I don't know, at least the types of people I've seen in university, like, I feel like that's not necessarily true. Like, we are hardworking in, like, a lot of respects and stuff. Like, and, like, I feel like we don't necessarily set boundaries as strictly as they assume everyone does. I think that is a little bit of a overgeneralization. So, and as we're kind of wrapping up, we wanted to have a little discussion about maybe a message to parents or elders, especially in the South Asian community, about, like, what they can do to help support their kids or family members or friends who might be experiencing burnout or imposter syndrome.
Yeah, like, again, just having those conversations with their parents and perhaps talking to them about what burnout can look like, because you never know, your parents might be experiencing burnout as well. So just having those conversations, and then talking about expectations, and then talking about your own boundaries as well, I feel like is one thing that is often overlooked in South Asian communities.
Yeah, and I think also, like, the term burnout, I know we're using it because it's, like, it is, like, a very good way to describe all those symptoms of, like, I don't know, like, feeling burnt out. But when you're having, like, that conversation with your parents, I guess there's also different ways to kind of frame the discussion. Like, not necessarily, like, sitting them down and having, like, a super serious conversation, like, oh, I'm burnt out. But, like, I don't know, even casually bringing up, like, maybe some ways you've been feeling, like, oh, I've just been feeling, like, kind of stressed with, like, school lately, or, oh, like, I've been having some trouble sleeping because I'm, like, really worried about these exams. Because I think oftentimes, like, parents can kind of relate to, like, how you might be feeling, because they, like, a lot of our parents work 9 to 5s. They've, like, a lot of them have been in school, so they know what it's like. So maybe approaching conversations in a way that are kind of relatable for them, that's also kind of helpful. So they can help you in the ways that they know how, instead of it being some big topic that they're like, okay, like, this is, like, super serious. I don't know how to help my kid. Like, what are they like, are they suffering from something, like some, like, mental illness? Like, when it can be brought up a little bit more casually and maybe benefit you both. So,
it's nice that you mentioned that, because I feel like especially with South Asian parents, they tend to put the blame on themselves and their own parenting. So I guess just perhaps, again, bringing it up in, like, a jokingly manner, like, I mean, like, I don't know how I would joke about it.
I think, like, I guess, like, we all know our parents. I guess we know our parents best, but like, there are ways to approach it maybe in a more casual way. I think that's kind of it for today's podcast. So for a little bit of a recap, we kind of discussed our personal experiences with burnout, what burnout might look like, and some strategies to kind of help you address burnout and imposter syndrome that you might be feeling, especially if you are a South Asian youth, trying to navigate that, like, that conversation with your parents. I think a big takeaway is definitely like that concept of having self-compassion. I think that's really important, just because academics do tend to kind of take over, especially as university students or even high school students, whatever it may be. So and making sure that you're kind of surrounding yourself with people that maybe, I don't know, push you outside of your comfort zone. I know it's, like, uncomfortable, but oftentimes, like, it can help prevent, like, that kind of cycle of, like, doom or, like, imposter syndrome. Like, that's what we've experienced personally, at least. Okay, well, we'll see you guys for our next episode. Bye-bye.